Hello, welcome to today's live stream. Hello, hello, hello. So happy you are here. I want to talk to you today about your expert um, status. And, we sometimes hear that, or we know we're an expert, but I got to thinking a couple years back there's probably different levels of expert, right? It's like there's a CNA, and then there's a nurse, an RN, and then there's or then there's an LPN, and then there's an RN, and then there's I don't know them all, a BSN, and then there's like a PA, and then there's a doctor, right? And so I was like, wow, wouldn't this be a service to the business world if I could like codify, so, quote unquote, expert statuses, and we could figure out based on what is happening right now in our business, in our lives, within our bodies of work, in the work that we're here to lead, what type of expert we actually are, what the good qualities of that, what the opportunities of growth are of that, and be able to place ourselves so that we don't keep trying to solve the current problem with a wrong version of our expert status. Now, if you like the way that sounds, give me some love in the comments. Please say hello if you're here. It's so good to see you all. You've seen a lot of me over the past week and a half. Here's what I've learned. Most experts are solving the wrong problem for the stage of business that they're actually in, right? And you all know what happens when you solve the wrong problem. You spend a lot of time, money, energy, emotional labor, right? Trying to fix something that's actually not your issue anymore. Okay. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. And I want to sort of take you behind the scenes of my brain here and walk you through something I'm calling the expert pyramid. And this really is about not every expert in business needs the same solution, right? Some experts genuinely do need more visibility. Now, I know you're probably like, oh my God, Shannon, you just told us for the last 3 months that visibility isn't the problem. Well, what I said was visibility isn't the problem for established experts. But some experts actually do need to focus on visibility. Some need to focus more on clarity of who they are and what they offer. Some experts need to focus more on the recognition gap. You've been hearing a lot about that recently. And then some experts need to have a full business recalibration about who they are now and the work that they are here to lead in their next era of business. And so I want you to know this. The question is not always, what should I do next? The question, the better question to ask might just be, what stage am I in this pyramid that Shannon's going to show me? And what does it reveal about my next steps and the real problem that I should be solving for? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you. Got a lovely graphic for you all here. All right, so what you see here is what I'm calling the expert pyramid graphic, okay? And what happens on this graphic is it really helps you see, hold on just a second. My screen's being weird. There we go. All right, it really helps you see what level you might be in according to how I've named these things, okay? So there's 4 stages to really think about. From the bottom up, we've got the invisible expert, the emerging expert, the confident expert, and the joy-fueled expert. Now, as I walk through these, I want you to listen for the stage that feels the most honest and true to you right now. Not the stage you wish you were in, or the stage you were in 2 years ago when the market was very different, or the stage you want to be in 5 years from now when you get some other things in place. But I want you to think about the stage you are actually in right now in business, because each stage has a different problem that needs to be solved. Okay. And if you're using a solution from one stage to solve a problem of a different stage, it's going to feel very heavy, frustrating, hard, confusing, bitter, time consuming, and taxing on your energy, right? And so as I go through these 4 stages, I'd love for you to drop in the comments, which type of expert do you think you currently sit in? Okay, which one? All right, and please, no weird shady stuff like I'm a 2.5 or, the names are clearly labeled. I put a lot of thought into this. Okay, so which one do you think you might be? All right, let's look at stage 1. That is the invisible expert. Okay, this doesn't mean you're not talented, and it doesn't mean your work is not valuable. All right, and it doesn't mean that you can't move up the pyramid. None of that is true. Okay, what it simply means is not enough of the right people actually know you exist yet. Okay, and this is a stage where visibility actually matters a lot. Okay, this is a stage where more people need to encounter your work. You need to spend time getting in more rooms. You need to share more of your ideas in public with people who can give you feedback about them. And you need to become associated with a core problem your audience has, or a core desire your audience has, or a core point of view you want to be known for. Okay, and so if you're in the invisible expert stage, this person is usually asking, how do I get more people to know that I exist? And that is the right question for this stage. Okay, that absolutely is the right question for this stage. Other things you're going to notice in this stage is that you have inconsistent clients. That's normal here, okay? Don't make yourself wrong for it, all right? Your message is hard to explain, and that's because you haven't landed the message yet. The marketing feels hard, and like, holy shit, this is taking a lot of my time to figure out. Selling probably feels awkward. Referrals are probably carrying your business. Okay, which is great. We all love referrals, but we know what happens when referrals dry up, right? And you probably are a team of 1, or you might just have one other person helping you on a very part-time basis. Okay, so remember, your core question is, how do I get more people to know I exist? And that is the right question for you. The problem is when experts who are no longer in the invisible expert phase keep trying to solve the same problem with more visibility, because more visibility is useful when invisibility is the problem. Okay, but visibility is not the answer for every stage on this pyramid. All right, let's look at the emerging expert, level 2 here. Okay, we'll call this the second stage. This is when people are beginning to notice you. They're reading your posts, they're responding to your work, they're saying things to like, wow, I really like how you think, or wow, your content is really good, that really hit home, thank you for sending that my way, or I've been following you for a while and what you say generally makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, the thing that happens with the emerging expert is that you get a lot of okay? The problem here is not visibility. You're visible, all right? The problem is association. People need to start connecting the dots between your name with a clear problem, a clear desire, a clear result, or your clear point of view. And the emerging expert usually finds their time asking, how do I become easier to remember and refer? This stage needs a lot of clarity. It needs repetition. And boy, tell me, repetition can be boring for those of us that have spicy brains and we don't want to be bored, right? But you have got to work on building a stronger connection between what you say, what you sell, and what you want to be known for years from now. Okay, and this is where a lot of people accidentally keep changing the message too quickly. Oh, that didn't work. Y'all, it takes some time, okay? Or, oh, that I've said that 5 times now. People already know it. I'm going to say something new. I'm going to develop something new. I'm going to put a new offer out. I'm going to put a new point of view out. People's heads are spinning in this space, and you are changing the message too quickly. Okay? The real work here is for you to become easier to understand, easier to remember, and easier to refer. Okay? And this is something that we excel at here at Joyful Business Revolution, right? We help you become that person so you can move up the levels of the pyramid. Now, some other things you may be experiencing here. You have some clients, but inconsistent demand. The message is clear, but it's not recognized by the right people. And then your marketing works sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Selling, oh my God, you're probably so sick of yourself and your sales process because you are having to explain it way too much. And maybe even to the people who aren't the right fit for you, which is even more labor intensive. Okay, your offers are having some traction, and your systems, they mostly live in your head. All right, so I talked to somebody last week, and she's like, I need to get a new VA, but all of the systems live in my head, and it's going to take so much time for me to write all that shit down and get it to them. Okay, you cannot grow with all this stuff in your head. All right, so this is one of the problems we solve for here to move people from the emerging expert up into the confident expert. Okay, so let's look at stage 3. This is the confident expert stage, okay? This is where many established experts are. Many of you may find yourself sitting here right now, okay? You have the expertise, you have the clients, you have the offers, you have the results, you have the reputation, you have the body of work that you're passionate about. People know you are damn good at what you do. None of that is the issue, okay? The issue is that they are associating you or recognizing you with an older version of your work or a more incomplete version of your work, because many of you here, your expertise has deepened, right? And so I ran a workshop this week, and there were about 30 people there, and they said, oh my God, my expertise is so deep, and people only remember this one thing about me, or they only think I do this, right? So they may know what you used to do, and they may know what you were doing when they came into your journey. They may even still introduce you by an older title or an older role, right? They may associate you with an old offer or an old category of business or an older version of your business. And this can get really frustrating. And if you're here, you know that it's frustrating, okay? Because from the outside looking in, it looks like you are visible, and you are. People see the work, they praise the work, they engage with the work, but that demand does not always match the depth of who you are now and what you are doing to make this world a better place. This is where the recognition gap shows up. It's the problem. The problem is not that people do not see you. The problem is that they do not fully recognize why your work matters to them right now, today. And this is the stage where, when we follow that advice that is dominant, be more visible, get on more stages, get on more podcasts, go, do more blogs, do more social media. Visibility amplifies your problem. And that is a horrible place to be. Okay, because if your message is not creating recognition with the right people right now, and then you put a spotlight on it and you blow that shit up with more visibility, it only creates more attention that feeds that loop in you that says, oh, this is working, people are responding, except they're not converting. The confident expert doesn't need to become louder. The confident expert doesn't need to become more salesy. The confident expert does not need to do more work. What the confident expert needs is to become more recognizable for the work that they are here to steward and lead in their next era of business. So, I have a question for you. Where might people still be recognizing an older version of your business? And y'all, this is normal, okay? We evolve, the market evolves, we have to change, we have to update positioning and messaging, right? But if we don't educate our audience and we don't know how to tell that new story so that people can recognize where we are now, this can be really a very difficult place to get out of. Okay? Energetically, spiritually, emotionally, it's taxing because it looks like everything is working. But you know it's not, because you don't have that revenue, that lifestyle, that business, that team, whatever it is, you don't have those things that you want that are going to allow you to be able to expand and step into what I call the JoyFueled expert. Okay, so let's look at stage 4. For those of you who are new to my world, I coined the term JoyFueled many years ago. I wanted a business and a life that was fueled by joy, not by fear, not by scarcity, not by lack, not by overwhelm, not by any of those things. I wanted a joy-fueled business. And this is why we call it the Joy-Fueled Business Growth Program. It's why we call it Joy-Fueled Life and Business. It's why you are now seeing the Joy-Fueled Expert. It is like the pinnacle of what I think business owners, the right ones, want for their business and for their life. So let's take a look at the 4th stage, okay? You're not at the beginning anymore, are you? Look how many levels you've gone through to get where you are. Okay, at this stage, you don't have to prove that you're good. You know your work works. In fact, you're like, I know my shit works. Like you're owning it, right? You have the proof, you have the lived experience, you've got the ideas, you have the IP, you have the clients, you have the results. But here's the big but. The business may need to recalibrate around who you are now. This is where the question has got to change from what should I do next to what am I here to steward now? What message are you here to carry into your legacy? What message are you here to carry into your industry, even when it feels difficult, even when it feels hard? What risks are you willing to take so that you can steward the message and keep telling your truth? What idea are you here to keep telling the truth about? What body of work have you created that maybe we need to look at through this new lens of stewardship and say, wow, there's some good stuff here from 10 years back or 5 years back or 8 years back. And I'm starting to see the common golden thread through all of this, right? What body of work are you leading into your next era? And often at this point of the Joy-Fueled Expert, this is about identity. It is about recalibration. And it often is about, does my business model actually support who I am now? Does my business model support my capacity, my values, my energy, my family, and the kind of work I want to be doing in this phase of business? Okay? And this is where business recalibration comes in, because here's what I want you to know. The next era of your work, the next era of your business, it doesn't need another offer. It does not need another launch. It does not need another content plan. It needs your message, your offer, your experience, an invitation to work together around who you are now. All of those things need to be in alignment. Not who you were 5 years ago, not who you had to become way down here to build the business, okay? But who you are now, right? And so when you reach what I call the pinnacle of business ownership and you are a joy-fueled expert, the right fit clients are saying, oh my God, I have to work with you. They are recognizing themselves instantly in your message. You are building demand without force in your marketing. You have aligned selling, and you can often go live like this or hold a webinar or sell what we call one-to-many, right? It's not just one-on-one. I'm not saying ditch your one-on-one calls. I'm saying oftentimes the joy-fueled expert can be put into a setting where their message is so strong and their energy is so on point and they have recalibrated their identity that people step in, and it doesn't have to be a one-on-one engagement. Okay. A JoyFueled expert also has a business model that fits your life. If you want to take August off to hang out with your kids or travel to Europe or do whatever it is that you want to do in August, you can. Your team's got you, right? If you decide you want to be Shannon and pick up and move to another country and know that shit's going to be hard for the first 5 or 6 months, you can, because the business is doing its job and the team is doing its job and the finances are doing its job. This is where support systems and team create space for you as a visionary. And this is where many people desire to be, but very few will get there. And it's not because you're not good enough. It's because you continue to buy into lame ass advice like visibility is your issue when we just said that is actually the issue 3 levels down in the invisible expert, right? So here's what you need to understand. Every level has a different problem. The invisible expert needs visibility. The emerging expert needs clarity and association. The confident expert needs recognition, and the joyful expert needs recalibration. And this is why so many of you are feeling so stuck. You keep trying to solve a joy-fueled expert problem with an invisible expert solution. And when this happens, you get more visibility on a message that can't carry the weight of the business. Okay? And you start creating more content and doing more when actually what you need is an aligned message. So here's what you really have to ask yourself. Okay? Which stage feels most true to you right now? Put your ego aside. What stage are you in? I was in the joy-fueled expert. Then AI hit and I dropped to the confident expert. Then I might have dropped to the emerging expert because I lost a lot of confidence. And I built my confidence back up and I'm back in the joy-fueled expert. So it also doesn't mean that once you're there forever, right? But I need you to understand which level you're in so you know what problem you actually need to solve. So if you've been listening to this today, okay, if you've been listening to this today and you're like, oh, wow, I am not at a stage where I simply need more visibility anymore, okay, which would be the invisible expert, all right? This is really important information for you because you may be in the stage where your message and your offers and your experience and your invitation need to recalibrate around who you are now so you can step into that identity and you can lead in this next era of your business. And this is the work that we're doing inside the JoyFueled Business Mentorship Circle, right? This is our values-aligned investment space for established experts who are ready to close the recognition gap and step into the next era of their business with more clarity, more recognition, and more demand without force. Inside this program, we look. The very first thing we do is we assess which stage are you in from that pyramid. What is the message you are here to steward now as you step into the next stage of your business? And do you have the business model that supports the next era of your work? That's what we do inside our program. All right. Applications are open until June 22nd. Applications close the evening of June 22nd. And for this round, you get to name your price. You get to name the amount that feels good for your nervous system, your family finances, your bank account, and your capacity, right? Because I'm a JoyFueled expert, I get to actually create a business model now that allows more access to people who want access, right? To quality coaching, messaging, and, you know, high caliber conversations that are going to move their business forward. So if you're ready to stop solving the wrong problem and actually start building and getting a solution for the stage of business you are actually in, I would love for you to apply. I would love to read your application. You can apply for the JoyFueled Business Mentorship Circle at Joyful Business Revolution/mentorship. And remember, applications are due June 22nd. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Adios.